You're watching Time Warner Cable News. It's 9 o'clock.
Sunday marking the expiration of a license on an Indian Point nuclear reactor. That story topping your news in a minute right now. Entergy says it's still going to be able to operate that reactor, Indian Point 3, because it applied for a renewal more than 5 years ago. Now, this coming soon after a temporary shutdown of another Indian Point reactor in connection with a tripped circuit breaker. The mayor of Middletown wants to see the city's old psychiatric center torn down. That's just part of the plan for the $500 million in grant money the region's development council is hoping to get from the state on Thursday. A man accused of raping an 11-year-old child in Fallsburg cleared after a judge dismissed the case Wednesday. The judge says simply wasn't enough evidence in the case against 29-year-old Chaim Bucharest. The jury will get the case Thursday in former state Senate Majority Leader Dean Skelos' corruption case, and the shelter run by the family of Woodstock turns 30.
You're watching Time Warner Cable News all evening.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Time Warner Cable News. I'm Solomon Syed.
And I'm Kate Welshofer. The headlines are just ahead after a quick check of weather on the ones.
In the Hudson Valley, mostly cloudy skies overnight with some patchy fog and perhaps a spotty shower late. Lows going to range from 35 to 40. Then morning clouds and spotty showers followed by some breaks of sun in the afternoon. Highs going to be mainly in the mid-50s. For Sullivan County and the Catskills, cloudy with some areas of fog overnight. Maybe a shower possible late. Lows in the 30s. Then a few showers early on Thursday, then partly sunny. Highs ranging from 50 to 56. The debate over the future of the Indian Point nuclear power plant rages on. Just days before the license for one of the reactors there is set to expire. Our Bridget Syed has details from Buchanan.
The license for one of Indian Point's reactors, Indian Point 3, is set to expire in a few days. But officials with the nuclear plant say that the deadline is largely symbolic.
Initial licenses are for 40 years. We've applied for a renewed 20-year period. And, that initial 40-year period would have expired on Saturday if we had not reapplied.
Opponents of the plant say it should close for good, pointing to a handful of mishaps this year, including a transformer fire and water pump problem. Just this past weekend, another reactor, Indian Point 2, had to shut down for a few days because a tripped circuit breaker cut power to some of the control rods.
The state of New York wants Indian Point closed down. The Department of State has held that there is a lot of things that Indian Point has not done to warrant keeping it open.
But Entergy, which owns the plant, says it's received a perfect safety score from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission 5 years in a row. Company officials say the plant is too important to the region to close.
Entergy has invested more than $1 billion at Indian Point to strengthen safety over the last 10 years. Indian Point's an important plant. It provides about 25% of the electricity for New York City and Westchester County.
Governor Cuomo has not been coy about wanting to shut the plant down entirely. He says Entergy does not have the capability to develop an evacuation plan should a major disaster occur so close to New York City. In a statement sent to the NRC last month, the governor's office wrote, Indian Point nuclear facilities are two of the only nuclear facilities operating in close proximity to one of the most densely populated places on the planet. No plan to manage the age-related defects at these facilities can adequately protect the millions of New Yorkers living nearby.
The NRC has already inspected all of our commitments to keep operating, and they have their regular, normal review and inspection program, which is quite comprehensive, and Indian Point gets the top safety ratings from the NRC.
Between renewables, new transmission projects, and basically conserving that Indian Point is not really needed anymore. And we can slowly but surely get off having to use a nuclear power plant that is dangerous.
At least in the short term, it looks like operations at the plant will continue, and so will the controversy. In Buchanan, Bridget Syed, Time Warner Cable News.
On Thursday, the state's regional economic development councils will announce which projects will get a share of $1.5 billion worth of money. Numerous projects in the running for it. One of them located in Middletown. The city there wants about $11 million to redevelop the site of the old Middletown Psychiatric Center. The goal is to turn it into an economic engine for the city.
What it does is it will take this property that was basically abandoned by the state, a large employer in the city of Middletown, deteriorated over the years and became like a liability to the community, and once again revive it with jobs, people working here, tax rateable.
7 regions across the state competing for 3 $500 million grants. The Mid-Hudson region consists of 8 counties.
A Sullivan County judge dismisses sexual abuse charges against a rabbinical student from Fallsburg who'd been accused of raping an 11-year-old boy. Judge Frank Labuda says prosecutors didn't have sufficient evidence against Chaim Buchrus. Labuda says prosecutors could not pinpoint the exact date or time of the alleged crime. Buchrus was charged with raping the boy in 2011. Prosecutors said it happened in the spring, but some evidence and testimony said it happened in the winter. Buchrus's attorney says the charges should never have been brought in the first place.
Justice has been done. The judge did what was proper and appropriate. This case was nonsense from the beginning. It should never have been brought.
Prosecutors say they will closely review the decision before deciding what their next move should be. The jury in the Dean Skelos federal corruption trial will begin deliberating Thursday morning after hearing 3 weeks of testimony, dozens of subpoenaed documents, and secretly recorded phone calls. The former state Senate Majority Leader is accused of strong-arming companies into paying his son Adam for a no-show job. Bobby Kuza has the latest on the case from New York City.
Adam Skelos is not a perfect person, his attorney said Wednesday, referring to his ego, temper, and arrogance. Hired at a medical malpractice insurance firm through his dad's connections, he rarely bothered showing up for work and threatened to bash his supervisor's head in. But the case is not a popularity contest. Attorney Christopher Kniff told jurors at closing arguments Wednesday, quote, "Being an ungrateful person and being a bad employee, that's not a crime." The crime, prosecutors say, is that in exchange for payments to Adam, Dean Skelos took official actions to benefit companies hugely dependent on state legislation. But his attorney argued legislation was never bought or sold, pointing to his long-held positions on issues like 421A, a tax break for real estate developers like Glenwood Management. Glenwood executive Charles Dorego testified he found Adam work under persistent pressure from Dean, but defense attorneys pointed out in one case he was getting a cut of Adam's commission, and he and 3 other key witnesses all testified under threat from the government. All 4 key witnesses, all so-called victims, have these non-prosecution agreements, attorney Robert Gage said. It's not credible. One witness, Anthony Bonomo, got Adam the insurance job not because he was extorted, defense attorney said, but as a favor to maintain his longtime relationship with Dean. And some of the most provocative recorded calls, attorneys said, simply showed an involved father trying to calm his volatile son, who outside court said, quote, "Of the 3 men in the room that were running the state, 2 of them were crooked politicians. My dad's not one of them." Dean Skelos, meanwhile, said this.
I have absolute confidence in our judicial system. The jury is working diligently, they've listened diligently, and I'm confident that my son and I are going to be found innocent.
Late in the day Wednesday, after the prosecution delivered about an hour-long rebuttal, the judge began reading the jury its instructions, a process she estimated would take about 2 hours and will continue Thursday morning. After that, deliberations begin. In New York City, Bobby Kuza for Time Warner Cable News.
A Wednesday certainly started off cloudy for much of the Hudson Valley, but the sun managed to work its way in. What can we expect for Thursday? We'll let you know when we get back with your latest Weather on the Ones.
Here's the latest Sky Tracker Doppler radar from your Weather on the Ones team.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Time Warner Cable News meteorologist Eric Adame. Thanks for tuning in. Clouds had the upper hand again. The clouds and fog from late last night, just very tough to get rid of in this setup. Nothing to scour it out or move it all out, but we do have eventually a boundary that will help to do that But with that boundary, a whole new batch of clouds will work through. So we keep the overcast skies for tonight and at least the first half of tomorrow. But notice just behind this boundary, there's some clearing that's happening out toward Indiana and Ohio. And that should be our fate for tomorrow afternoon. Let's take you through our futurecast. So tonight, clouds, some fog, and some spotty showers. That'll still be around early tomorrow morning, kind of a gloomy start. So make sure you maybe set the extra alarm in the morning. I don't know about you, but it's tough to wake up on mornings like this, clouds and showers around. But it does get better into the afternoon. We'll start to see some breaks of sunshine. Keep in mind, the sun sets very early this time of year, before 4:30 even, so breaks of sunshine will be limited to just a couple of hours in the afternoon before it sets. Going into Thursday night, partly cloudy skies. I think Friday we'll find a mix of sun and clouds. There could be some of us near 60 on Friday as well as Saturday. We're really going to go into an unbelievable stretch of mid-December weather that could end with us well into the 60s, perhaps approaching 70 by Sunday. Unbelievable for the middle of December. Mostly cloudy with some fog tonight, maybe a shower late, a low around 40. Tomorrow, clouds, some sun, and maybe a spotty shower in the morning, highs in the 50s. Sullivan County and the Catskills, 30s tonight, a shower late, some showers early tomorrow, then partly sunny with a high of 50 to 56.
The group family of Woodstock is celebrating a special anniversary, marking 30 years since its volunteers began helping the homeless at Darmstadt Shelter. An anniversary celebration held at the site on Wednesday. Since the shelter opened back in 1985, it's helped out thousands of people. First starting out in the basement of a church in Kingston, the shelter then moved a number of times before it landed at its current location on Thomas Street. People who were there from the very beginning say in addition to helping the homeless find shelter, one of their biggest achievements is providing the programs needed to help those people get back on their feet.
If somebody needs mental health services, we will advocate that they receive them. If they need substance abuse services, the same is true. If there are health issues, we'll help them connect to medical services.
Family of Woodstock, which runs the shelter, also has outreach services for young people as well as domestic violence services. If you'd like to help out this holiday season, we're going to put a donation link up on our website, twcnews.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Watson. Coming up next in sports, once again, Army will be the underdog in the Army-Navy football game this weekend. 2015 edition has the midshipmen as the favorites in Philadelphia, but we're going to tell you why that doesn't bother the Black Knights. Coming up after the break. Hey everybody, I'm Chris Watson, and this is your look at sports. We are just 3 days away from Army-Navy version 116 on the gridiron. Black Knights, of course, looking to end a 13-year losing streak against the Middies. 2015 matchup features two teams in very different situations, much like in the past. Navy 9-2, ranked 21st in the country. Army 2-9 this season. On paper, midshipmen, the heavy favorites as they go for a 14th straight win in the series, but the Black Knights not laying down in this one. Coach Munkin confident his team can compete on Saturday.
We've come close enough in enough ball games this year for me to feel like I'm not absolutely crazy in thinking that we're probably a much better football team than 2-9. But in this game, in this rivalry, it's a game in itself, and I don't think that really much matters. They're physically talented. They're a very good football team. I don't think that we've got a football team that's a bunch of zeros, guys that can't play and can't tackle and can't run the ball. And I think we got some guys that'll play and play really hard and give ourselves a chance on Saturday.
All right, nobody gets you ready for Army-Navy like us. The Williams Lumber and Home Center's In the Trenches show a special night. It is Friday this week at 7:30 and 9:30. Teams going on the road. Marissa Jacks, Alex Coppola, and company are in Philadelphia. We will get you ready for the game. It's back to non-conference play for the Marist men's basketball team tonight. Red Foxes opening their MAC slate against Iona and Manhattan last week. Blown out by 35 points against the Gales, but then rebounding against the defending champion Jaspers, beating Manhattan 75-70. Now, speaking of defending champs, Mike Maker's crew will get a look at a defending champ, the America East champs, UAlbany, tonight. They welcome them to the McCann Center. We will have complete highlights from the game coming up later in sports. Talking NBA hoops, Brooklyn Nets got their third win in 5 games on Tuesday night. Nets beating the Rockets 110-105 to sweep Houston for the first time since 2002. Brooklyn now 6-15 on the season, and the victory tough to come by as they have been this season, but Coach Lionel Hollins proud of his team against such a tough Houston team.
You know, as I told the players, it's really tough to win in this league, and you know, we'll take a win wherever, whenever. And it was a hard-fought game. Joe Johnson was outstanding in the fourth quarter and carried us home. We made just enough shots, made just enough free throws, and we got just enough stops. But, you know, I'm thankful for the win. You know, they've been hard to come by, and I'm just excited for the fellas and as we move forward.
Nets 6-game homestand continues Thursday against the 76ers. And that's Check of Sports for this half hour. I'm Chris Watson. Be back with more in just about 30 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Time Warner Cable News meteorologist Eric Adame. Thanks for tuning in. Well, the clouds had the upper hand again today. There were a few little breaks of sunshine or thin spots in the clouds, but that was about it. Those clouds will continue to be with us as we go through this evening and overnight. There's a whole new batch of clouds that's developing out to our west that will just basically go on top of the clouds that we have at the lowest levels. So yeah, overcast for tonight. Tomorrow the clouds should start to break up a little bit. This is a boundary, so this will kind of scour the lower moisture out, and we should end up with some sunshine for the afternoon. Not a lot of sunshine, but at least some breaks of sun and dry weather, and that should allow temperatures to climb into the 50s tomorrow afternoon. So as this boundary is working through tonight, there will likely be a couple of showers. So after midnight, fog, a couple of showers developing, and the fog and a few showers will be with us early on Thursday. So it will be kind of a gloomy start to the day, but give it some time because as we go into the afternoon, it starts to dry out. Of course, sunset is early this time of year, just before 4:30 even. So we will find the sunshine being very limited, only maybe an hour or two in the afternoon before it sets. Looks like partly cloudy skies Thursday night. Friday, a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures well into the 50s, maybe near 60. We should be up near 60 again on Saturday and potentially well into the 60s on Sunday. So this is going to be quite the stretch of mild weather for the month of December, and we're really going toward the middle of the month at this point. Temperatures climbing into the 50s all across the area. Actually, if there's enough sunshine around Poughkeepsie and down into the lower Hudson Valley, we could see some spots close to 60 already tomorrow. And as I mentioned, could be near 60 Friday and Saturday as well. So let's take a look at that forecast for tonight. Hudson Valley, mostly cloudy, fog, maybe a shower after midnight, low around 40. Tomorrow, clouds, some sun, maybe a spotty shower early, but then it should be dry for the afternoon with highs 53 to 58. For Sullivan County and the Catskills, cloudy skies, fog, and maybe a shower late tonight, a low of 34 to 38. Tomorrow, some showers early, then some partly sunny skies for us, a high 50 to 56. And as we look at our 7-day forecast, it's really unbelievable. Upper 50s near 60 Friday, Saturday, 60s solidly in the 60s on Sunday. That could be some record warmth. And then we do see those temperatures dipping just a little bit, but still well above average, even toward the middle of next week.
I'm Marcy Fraser. Are you concerned about what your teenage daughter is wearing, or perhaps what she's not wearing? Today's skimpy styles are certainly creating a lot of headaches on many home fronts.
Like it promotes parents to think like idiots and to think they have no power and no influence when they do.
Dr. Randy Kale, a psychologist that specializes in children and family dynamics, often has to remind parents that they must take control of what their teenage daughter is wearing.
You know, it's too revealing, it's promiscuous. They tend to dress and create an appearance where they're revealing and they take selfies. that are inappropriate.
As girls hit puberty, part of their identity is wrapped up in getting attention, and that's often the result of the clothes they wear.
It's teaching girls to focus on the wrong thing. You know, it's focusing strictly on appearance and getting attention for their appearance.
Kale says discussions surrounding their wardrobe is often a waste of time. Don't debate. If they refuse to dress appropriately, take action by setting clear limits.
Sweetheart, your world stops until your clothes are changed. In other words, your phone won't work, the car's not going anywhere, and nothing's going to happen for you until you dressed appropriately for school. And
more advice from Kale. He says the closet is not off limits for parents.
if there's clothes in your kid's wardrobe that you don't want them to wear in public, get rid of them. Don't debate with them. Don't argue with them. Don't explain it to them. Just get rid of it.
And parents, it is difficult to know what your child is wearing 24/7, but what is with them 24/7 is their cell phone. Check it regularly for selfies. You know, teenagers love to take them. It's a great way to keep tabs on them. For Child Wellness Wednesday, I'm Marcy Fraser.
Okay, that's going to wrap up another half hour here on Time Warner Cable News. I'm Solomon Syed.
And I'm Kate Welshofer. Keep it here. More news and weather for you right after the break. And don't forget about the website, twcnews.com.
Today in New York history, in 1867, construction of the Capitol building in Albany begins. Most of the work was undertaken by Irish laborers who had to break through the frozen ground with pickaxes and shovels. In 2003, a Russian freighter, the Stella Mare, capsizes in the port of Albany, killing 3 ship members on board. And in 1908, journalists from across the country meet in New York City to form the Baseball Writers Association of America, which serves as the body that elects former players into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. That's today in New York history.
Today in New York History was produced in conjunction with the New York State Museum.
How you doing? I'm Staff Sergeant Hamilton. I am here with the 1st Expeditionary Civil Engineer Group, 577th Prime Beef Squadron. I am from McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. I want to shout out to my little baby girl that I haven't seen yet, Alana. She's in South Carolina with her mother, soon-to-be wife, Larissa, and her little man, Keenan. How you doing, buddy? I miss you. I want to shout out to my family in New York, back in Rockland County, New York. It's hot here. I can't wait to get home. I'm sure you guys are enjoying the winter. I'll see you guys soon, and I love you.